Welcome to The Book of Life, a show about Jewish books, music, film, and web. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. Additional support comes from the Association of Jewish Libraries. Russian Jewish author and artist Eugene Yelchin won a Newbery Honor for his middle-grade illustrated novel, Breaking Stalin's Nose. At the Association of Jewish Libraries conference, he spoke about growing up in the Soviet Union. I was lucky enough to sit with him at lunch, so I could ask him more. For videos relating to Breaking Stalin's Nose, visit bookoflifepodcast.com. So this is Eugene Yelchin, the author of Breaking Stalin's Nose, which got a Newbery Honor, and he has been a speaker here at the AJL conference. And Eugene, you were just telling me about the website for Breaking Stalin's Nose.
It's a website called breakingstalinsnose.com, and what this website does, it's an interactive website. It's the world of the book, essentially. When you go in, you will find it's full of photographs, artifacts, actual things that mentioned in the book and actual characters that mentioned in the book. Where in fact what the website does is erases the border between fiction and non-fiction.
The book is fiction.
The book is fiction, but the website is presented in such a way, and it's used at schools now as well, for young readers to have a kind of a physical interpretation of that the world look like.
So give a little bit of background about the book for the many listeners who weren't lucky enough to be at your session this morning. Explain what the book is about.
The book is about a young boy's loss of idealism and his decision to walk away from the system that he trusted. And I'm talking about Soviet communism. In many ways, it corresponds to my own experience.
So you grew up under Soviet communism as the protagonist of the book did?
Yeah, that's right. I lived in the Soviet Union for 27 years. I came here in 1983, and not until 2 years ago could I actually speak and write about it. It took some time to become familiar with this culture, obviously. So the book, in a way, rooted in both cultures, obviously in Russian and Soviet culture and in American culture, because it is for American children, even though it now is beginning to be translated in Spanish and Chinese, and it's coming out in Russia in, I believe, in spring.
So this morning you were talking very movingly about the importance of books to people living in, what do you call it, an oppressive society? Talk a little bit about that.
Reading books under the oppressive government is a different activity than reading books in a free society. The books can do one of two things. They can either endanger your life, and I mean this literally. You can be arrested and even executed for reading books that were banned by the government. But they can also save your life because they can show you the way out of your predicament, and that's exactly what happened to me. And this morning I was really speaking about the books that I read growing up in Russia, and books that were banned, books that were smuggled into Russia, printed abroad, books that were self-published in Russia, and essentially reading those books was dangerous to your life, but that's something we felt that we had to do in order to understand our own history, our own country, and our role in the history of our country, because secrecy was one of the weapons that was used by the government.
You were telling me a funny story a little while ago about after Breaking Stalin's Nose got the Newbery Honor, and suddenly the supply was not enough. Tell that story.
The book is published by Henry Holt. It's a division of Macmillan, and because I wrote and illustrated it, we always wanted to make the book to feel like an art object, a special object to hold in one's hand, not only to read and to look at. as a result, we chose a paper that's only one mill in the United States produces this paper. It's very rare. It's usually that paper is used for picture books. It's really thick, never for novels. And as a result, the book looks great. But after the award was announced, there was a lot of requests for the book, and they sold out very quickly. But in order to produce the same book with such rare paper, it took a long time. So there was a bit of a panic that was happening. But finally, they did a terrific job, and the book looked terrific.
You said they were searching, asking other mills, can you possibly make this paper, just searching everywhere?
Yes, they searched everywhere, and they finally found a mill that actually made approximation of the original paper that we have. I can't even tell.
The original mill wasn't even the one to...
No, because it's only it's particular tree, and it takes once every 3 years or something.
Back yet.
Not yet. That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
That's great. So you're an artist as well as a writer. You illustrated the Rooster Prince of Breslov a few years ago by Anne Sampler.
Right. I started as an illustrator for other authors, for picture books. Then I transitioned into writing and illustrating my own picture books. Actually, I did it with my wife, Mary Kurilla. And Breaking Stalin's Nose is my first longer work of fiction. Yeah.
So how did you find the Rooster Prince of Breslov? Was that an easy book to illustrate? It's sort of an unusual story, and your pictures for it were very unusual too.
It was a wonderful manuscript which I really fell in love with from the very start. But I wanted to illustrate things that were actually not described in the narrative but implied, and I think that was the subtlety of the manuscript provided for that opportunity. So when you actually look at the pictures, let's put it this way, you open a spread and you see some action or a character that is not described on that spread, but only later on you learn what it was. So in a way it could be read twice. First linear narrative, and the second time through kind of discovering the clues that lead you to the conclusion. So it was a sort of a combination of straightforward illustrating and conceptual art, really, if you want to call it.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
There are so many ways to connect with the Book of Life. Fan us at facebook.com/Book of Life Podcast. Follow us at twitter.com/Book of Life Pod. Email us at bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com. or leave us a voicemail at 561-206-2473. You can also listen to the latest episode by phone at 916-313-3820. And of course, find links to everything at bookoflifepodcast.com. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida at cbiboca.org. and is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band at freilachmakers.com. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.